Welcome back to Campfire Stories. I got a scary one for you today, but before we get into it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And make sure to hit that notifications bell so you know when we upload next. So, my girlfriend worked at Walmart, and she was working the night shift, and she was uncomfortable working the night shift. So she asked, so when she was uncomfortable working the night shift, she just powered through it. But one night she forgot her insulin, and she asked me to bring it. Now, Walmart was only like, the Walmart she worked at was like a mile away from me. Wasn't far at all. So I just headed out on foot, and she said, I can get there on foot, no problem. So I head out to Walmart. I have her insulin and her blood glucose tester in hand, and so she's on her. So I'm on my way, heading to Walmart. She's working the night shift, and I figure I'd stick around, because her shift is over in like a couple hours, and there's not really much got to do at home. So I was like, yeah, I'll just stick around and hang around with my girlfriend at work. She's not really doing much. It's the night shift. So I just hung around with my girlfriend at work. No one really cared. So I'm wandering through the aisles. It's almost midnight. Um, and so as I'm wandering through the aisles, I see this one lady. She's standing in front of the shampoo. She's wearing white shoes and a white dress, kind of sweaty, kind of dirty dress, and it was she didn't look like she was in the best health. I mean, she was really skinny, she was really pale. She looked kind of ill, or looked like she donated way too much blood. And so so this lady's like shaking, and she's like speaking in some kind of weird language that I didn't understand, and I was like, okay, so she's probably just she's probably not from around here, and I don't know what. Maybe she's on something. Who knows? So a little while goes by, and I see this, and so I'm not an employee. I can't really just say anything or do anything. I could tell my girlfriend she worked loss prevention, so yeah, she was technically she was basically store security. So so basically what I did is I just kept an eye on this lady, and so she goes, and this lady suddenly turns around and says to me, she says to me something that I can't really comprehend still to this day. She turns around and says to me,
"You have work to do, Brian."
and that was weird. I found that weird. And the voice was really deep and just caught me off guard. And I was like, sure. And I kind of started to walk off, and I realized, how did she know my name? And why was her voice so deep? Like, that didn't make any sense. So I go back, and I asked again. I asked her, how did you know my name? And she says, what are you talking about? Can you help me find the shampoo? I said, you're standing in front of shampoo. She's like, oh, I am. Silly me. She picked up some shampoo, put it in her cart, and walked off. So, I go and I talk to my girlfriend. I say, hey, this is what just happened to me, and I didn't really mention that her voice was really deep and told me I have work to do, and I don't know what she was talking about. But she said, I guess, I don't know. But I did have a little bit of work to finish up at home, but I was going to wait until I got home. So 3 hours pass, don't really hear much. And then I'm walking through the aisles again after hanging out with my girlfriend for a little bit more. And so basically 3 hours pass, and it's almost time for her to go home. And so we're almost ready to get going. So when 3 hours pass, she I suddenly am walking through the aisles, and I see the same lady standing in front of t-shirts, and she's like giggling, and she's shaking again, and it's weird. And so of course, she suddenly turns around and she says to me something that I couldn't really understand, but it was something along the lines of,
It's almost your time.
so I was, I couldn't really, it caught me off guard, and I was kind of like, why is this lady still here? She only had the shampoo in her cart. She was chewing on something. She was salivating. Couldn't tell what she was chewing on. She was just salivating. There's this saliva dripping off her. It was so much. It was just drooping off her chin, and it was disgusting. And her eyes were rolled in the back of her head. So I go get my girlfriend, and I say, this lady's still here. So she says, okay, we'll check it out. So two other store employees and me, they requested me to come with them. And I was like, I'm a very large guy, and I have close quarter hand-to-hand combat training, so it's probably a good idea. So they're kind of looking at me like, yeah, let's bring him with us. It's Walmart loss prevention versus me, so so they were like, yeah, let's bring your boyfriend with us. Yeah, that's way better. I feel much safer with him. I'm like, okay. I'm 6'4", 260 pounds. I'm a big guy. So we go find this lady, and she's no longer there. Her cart's there. She's not. So we're like, okay, she probably left. So we do a quick sweep of the store. Couldn't find her anywhere. So we head back to the entrance, and there she is. And it was mind-boggling what happened next. She suddenly snapped out of it, and her eyes rolled to the front of her head, and she just pleaded for help and said, it's trying to replace me. It wants to take over. And then suddenly snapped out of it. When she suddenly snapped back in, her eyes rolled in the back of her head, and she said in this deep voice again, when I asked, what are you talking about? It's trying to take over. I asked her, what are you talking about? It's trying to take over. Said in a deep voice,
She's no longer here.
and then she started snapping her own bones back every which way. Her arms started breaking in ways that are impossible to do to yourself without even touching herself, just breaking behind her back, and just she was in this tiny crippled position with almost all her bones broken. And at this point, I was calling 911, and they were kind of like, at first they thought it was a prank, but I was like, no, I'm at Walmart. My girlfriend works at Walmart. Please help. There's this lady here. And I just told them because I knew they wouldn't believe me. I said, I think she's on drugs. And they showed up, and they found her in this crippled, broken position where her mangled body was unrecognizable. And if there wasn't security footage that captured it, the police would have thought we did it. But the security camera showed very clearly what happened. Because she was standing by the entrance. The entrance has cameras pointed right at it. Once the police got the camera footage, we were no longer suspects, but the case went cold. They took her to the hospital. She apparently was still alive. Me and my girlfriend went to check on her at the hospital. We found out what hospital the paramedics were taking her to. At this point, it was half an hour past her clock out time, and we didn't even realize it. So she clocked out, and I asked where the paramedics were taking her, and they said they gave us the hospital name. And we went to go see her, and we asked the nurse, "Where's this girl?" And we gave a description. She said she died, and the nurses said she's died, but it's not surprising. She said that she was a bruja from her neighborhood. She was a witch. She was always practicing witchcraft in her neighborhood. And she summoned a spirit that didn't want to go away and didn't want to return. And she channeled it through her own body, and it wanted to stay. That's what she was saying. It was at that moment I realized what we saw was a demonic possession. I realized we could never tell anyone what we saw. Besides, who would believe us? The police didn't even believe what they were seeing with their own eyes. I can't even believe myself. Who would believe us? Thanks for listening to Campfire Stories. Like, subscribe, and share with people. They're really interesting.